Hey, welcome back to The Famous Girl TV. So there's some more breaking news regarding this Jay-Z, Jane Doe, and Tony Buzbee situation. So when I covered this topic a few days ago, what I basically said was that I just really didn't feel like it was a good idea for Jay-Z to be sending anyone to Jane Doe's home to question her, just because I felt like it is a very bad look. So remember, last week the story was that Jane Doe completely recanted all of her claims against Jay-Z. At the time, these reports did not include any audio recordings, but they did have what they claimed were direct quotes from Jane Doe admitting that Tony Buzbee pushed her to include Jay-Z in this lawsuit. Shortly after those reports came out, Jane Doe did come back out and clarify that she, in fact, did not recant any statements regarding Jay-Z and reiterated that she stood by her claims. Okay, fast forward to March 12th. Alex Spiro, who is Jay-Z's attorney, did an interview on Good Morning America. I'll go ahead and play this clip.
This morning, the woman who said she was 13 when Sean Jay-Z Carter and Sean Diddy Combs sexually assaulted her after the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards is heard talking to private investigators about her claim and agreeing that Jay-Z did not assault her.
But Jay-Z you're saying he was definitely there? But he had no part in it, or he was just...
He was there. He was just there, but he didn't have anything to do with any sexual acts towards you. It was strictly, yeah.
The woman is also heard saying her lawyer put her up to suing one of the world's most recognizable stars.
He was the one that kind of pushed me towards going forward with him.
With Jay-Z? Buzbee did?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No.
ABC News exclusively obtained a minute-long excerpt of the recording made days after the woman, identified as Jane Doe, permanently dropped her lawsuit against both Carter and Combs last month.
The people around Mr. Carter wanted to know what happened behind closed doors. And so they asked for her to be interviewed. The interview occurred, and the tape speaks for itself. She says, in no uncertain terms, Mr. Carter did not do this. It is effectively a lie. And the only reason Mr. Carter is even involved in this is because she was pushed to involve him, pushed to include him by a lawyer.
The accuser's lawyer, Tony Buzbee, called it a blatant lie that he pushed Jane Doe to sue Jay-Z. And he sent us this recording of a phone call with his client.
They say that they have you on tape denying that Jay-Z assaulted you. Is that true?
No. They don't. I've never said that.
Okay. They also say that you told them, and they have it on tape, that I, Tony Buzbee, told you to came up with this plan and told you to say that Jay-Z assaulted you so you would get more money.
No.
Jane Doe said in a court filing, although I ultimately chose not to pursue them, I stand by my claims. She says in a sworn declaration that she felt intimidated and terrified at being confronted by these two individuals on my doorstep. Was she coerced in any way?
Of course not. They did not coerce her, promise or threaten her in any way, shape, or form. She voluntarily met and spoke to them, and she told them her truth, which was, under no circumstances did Mr. Carter do this. And number two, the only reason he's even involved in this is she was pushed to introduce him by a lawyer.
Does your client know Jane Doe?
No.
Ever met her?
No, Mr. Carter doesn't know Jane Doe, never met Jane Doe. There's no truth to any of this.
One of the world's best-selling artists with more than 140 million albums sold, Jay-Z is also husband to Beyonce and a father of 3.
Like we from Lagos, man, Samusa reincarnated. We on our levels, that's
He vehemently denied the allegations at the outset. He spoke about the painful impact that they had, especially on his kids. How as a father, has he tried to handle this?
It's tough to hear a false lie said about you, spread through the internet, and affecting your children. It's tough on him. It's tough on anybody. But what he does is he proves himself innocent. Today is hopefully the final chapter in that, and then they're going to move forward. That's what Jay does.
Jay-Z is now suing Jane Doe and her lawyer for defamation. Why not let it lie? The case is gone.
The truth had to fully come out. This person cannot be allowed to sort of hide from the reality that this was a false accusation.
While the accuser's lawsuit against Jay-Z and Sean Combs was dismissed, Combs still faces a number of other civil claims from other accusers, which he denies. And on Friday, guys, Combs is due in court to plead not guilty to a new indictment in his federal case. Does your client know Jane Doe?
No.
Does your client know Jane Doe?
No.
That is crazy. You can literally see the deception in his face. All right, so this is where everything gets very messy. I'm gonna go ahead and read this article from TMZ. The title of the article says, "His PIs twisted my words, I never recanted." Jay-Z's Jane Doe accuser says don't believe that recording Jay's private investigators made of her, allegedly retracting her rape allegation because she's claiming the two PIs flat out lied in their declarations to the court. One day after Jay's attorneys released portions of the recorded convo they had with the accuser, she's filed new declarations, telling the judge that Charlotte Henderson and James Butler shocked her when they showed up uninvited at the door of her Alabama home. In the docs obtained by TMZ, Doe says she was not in any way calm, natural, or at ease, and trembled the entire time that they spoke, totally contrary to how Henderson and Butler described Doe's behavior during the interaction. She's also denying their claim she told them 4 times Jay-Z was not involved in the alleged 2000 rape following the VMAs in New York City. In the new docs, Doe says, "I never stated whether once or 4 times that Mr. Carter did not assault me." TMZ continues by saying, "It is true. In the released recording, you only hear Doe respond, 'Yeah,' after the investigator says, 'Jay didn't commit any sexual acts towards you.'" As for whether Tony Buzbee, Doe's attorney, pushed her to sue Jay-Z, she again denies saying that to the investigators, but this part gets murky. Doe says she never said these words, quote, "He was the one that kind of pushed me towards going forward with him with Jay-Z," unquote. However, Henderson's declaration includes that exact quote, as does the recording. Doe insists, quote, "I never made any such statements to Henderson or any other person," unquote. TMZ adds, "So, who or what you gonna believe on that part?" Then they say, "One more thing. Doe also claims the PIs twisted her meaning when she said, quote, 'How does this help me?' unquote." Doe says Henderson's declaration make it seem like she was saying what's in it for me if I signed an affidavit recanting the allegation. Doe says what really happened is that Henderson yelled, "We're trying to help you," as she was leaving the house, and Doe replied, "How does this help me?" TMZ goes on to say, "Seems ticky-tack, but both sides are in this legal war, laser focused on every detail. Remember, although the accuser dismissed her lawsuit, Jay-Z is now suing her and Buzbee for lying and tarnishing his rep." So we're really just having a repeat of last week where basically Jay-Z came out with his defamation lawsuit and said, "Hey, Jane Doe is lying. See, I have proof because she recanted her statements." And then Jane Doe is like, "No, that's cap. I didn't actually recant anything and I stand by my claims." So now the same thing is happening again this week after Alex Spiro went on the news and played an alleged recording of Jane Doe's voice recanting her statements against Jay-Z. And just like last week when Jay-Z's side tried to claim that Jane Doe had recanted her statements, Jane Doe came back very shortly after this and reiterated the fact that she stands by her claims and that she did not recant anything and that she did not repeat 4 times or however many times that Tony Buzbee pushed her to include Jay-Z in that lawsuit. So just when I thought shit couldn't get any messier, this information came from the Diddy docket over on Twitter. Shout out to them. Affidavit of Andrew Van Arsdale confirms the Ava Law Group did in fact intake Jane Doe and shows that when she retained her counsel, she named Sean Combs, Sean Carter, and one other defendant, which people are assuming is the female celebrity B that was referenced in her initial lawsuit. This completely debunks Alex Spiro's claim that Tony Buzbee coerced Jane Doe into including Jay-Z in her lawsuit, because as you can see, she was vetted by Ava Law Group, which is shown here in these documents. So as you can see, line number 5 on the first document clearly says Ava Law Group was retained by Jane Doe in early October to pursue claims against Sean Combs and Sean Carter, both of whom were specifically identified as her litigation targets on Ava Law's intake form. A true and correct copy of Jane Doe's intake form with Ava Law Group, redacted to show only the abusers she named, is attached hereto as Exhibit A. So this is Exhibit A. This is the intake form that's been obviously completely redacted. The only names that are visible are Jay-Z and Sean Combs. And then remember, that third person is Celebrity B. That's the female celebrity that was allegedly present when the assault occurred and watched the whole thing. So this document right here is from Jay-Z's lawsuit against Jane Doe, the defamation lawsuit, and I'm specifically going to go ahead and read line number 4. It says, when their initial extortionate demand letter failed to yield the financial windfall they sought, and after Doe told Buzbee, with whom she had never spoken to before the demand letter was drafted and sent, that Mr. Carter did not sexually assault her, Buzbee pushed her towards going forward with the false story against Mr. Carter to make the case better and get them, the lawyers, and her more money. Specifically, Buzbee brought Jay-Z into it. So based on the intake form from Ava Law Group, we know that that is a complete lie. How could Tony Buzbee have pushed her to add Jay-Z into the lawsuit if the lawsuit was already a thing before she even went to Tony Buzbee? She went to Ava Law Group first. Now, I want to get into the biggest lie of them all, okay? Remember when Jane Doe dropped her lawsuit against Jay-Z with prejudice with no explanation? Neither Jane Doe nor Tony Buzbee gave a statement on why this case was dismissed. Since there were no statements made regarding the dismissal on Tony Buzbee or Jane Doe's end, Alex Spiro basically took it upon himself to run to the media and say, see, look, I told you so. See, she dismissed the lawsuit. That means that everything that she's been saying is a lie. See, told you. A lot of people ran with this and began to question Tony Buzbee's expertise as a lawyer. There were questions about his ability to practice law in the Southern District of New York, and a lot of people speculated that that was the reason why the case was dismissed. Well, last night we found out the real reason why that case was dismissed, and it had absolutely nothing to do with Jane Doe being a liar. We now have email correspondence that proves that there 1,000% was an agreement between Jay-Z's lawyer and Jane Doe's lawyer to drop that lawsuit with prejudice. So this email is from Mark E. Kasovitz, one of Jane Doe's lawyers. In the email, he said, to Alex Spiro, he said, here's our proposal. Number 1, you and your clients, Jay-Z and Roc Nation, will withdraw the Rule 11 motion. The Rule 11 motion were the sanctions that were filed against Tony Buzbee. Number 2, 10 days later, plaintiff will withdraw the complaint with prejudice. Remember, with prejudice means the case cannot be refiled again. 3rd, you and your clients and their agents will not authorize, employ, or otherwise engage investigators or anyone else to harass or otherwise interact with my client, his law firm, or his present and former clients, employees, and family. Neither you nor your client is admitting that you have done or known about it, just a commitment that you won't. Then you can clearly see the next message in the email traffic is from Alex Spiro saying, okay. First of all, the fact that they even need to add that in there, they need to add a paragraph saying that you will not send investigators or anyone else to interact with my clients or harass anyone. The fact that they even had to add that in there should be a very clear indication of the type of behavior and the type of things that have been going on up until this point. This just goes to show you that Alex Spiro is a complete liar. He ran to the media and told everyone that the reason why she dismissed this case was because she was a liar and that everything that she had said was completely fabricated and that this was nothing more than a money grab. When the truth of the matter is that the reason why the case got dismissed is because Spiro and Jane Doe's lawyers came to a mutual agreement. So ironically, it's like Alex Spiro has done all this work, all this damage control, doing interviews, going to the press, releasing statements regarding Jane Doe, calling this lady a liar. I mean, all the stuff that they've done, just for it to come out that the whole time the case only got dropped because you had an agreement with her lawyers. So all that talk about her dismissing the case all because she's a liar was complete nonsense. And then the fact that Jay-Z and Alex Spiro keep trying to come out to the media and reiterate that she recanted her story. How many times are y'all gonna make this woman have to come out publicly and say, I have not recanted anything. I am standing by my claims. How many times do y'all want this lady to keep saying the same thing? I think Jay-Z thought that by putting that recording out of her alleged voice speaking was gonna be some kind of slam dunk, like, hey, told you so. That was supposed to be like some gotcha moment. Well, I have news for you. It's not. So I have two theories. The voice in the recording that was played on the news, I think that it was either AI or another person. My second theory is that if it was her voice, then it could have very easily been spliced and diced to sound a particular way. So honestly, just based off of those two theories, I think that even if this so-called evidence made it to court, I really don't see it holding up at all. Also, if it was in fact her voice, I mean, she could very easily argue that she said those words under duress. But it's like each time Jay-Z's lawyer comes out and tries to say that Jane Doe recanted her story, she comes back and disputes it. So it's like no matter what, I just don't see the claim of saying that she recanted. I don't see how that's gonna hold up just off of the fact that she came back and said twice that, no, I stand by my claims. I think for Jane Doe to recant and it to actually mean anything or hold weight, it would need to come from her side. It would need to come from her or her lawyers, and it would need to be like a signed official statement or some kind of recording to where we can see her and see that she's not being held there against her will or under duress. That would hold way more weight than Jay-Z and his team coming out saying, yeah, she recanted. Because right now it really just seems like they're pulling out all the stops to get her to retract her story. It's just very red flaggy to me that they're going this hard to try to get her to retract her statements when she already dropped the case. And it's like they're doing all of this to help support Jay-Z's defamation case against Jane Doe and Tony Buzbee, but I just don't see how any of this is helping them. So anyway, that's all I got for now. If there's any more updates on this case, I will be sure to come back and let you guys know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.